Microphone check, microphone check. Hey, this is the world's most popular barbecue talk, barbershop talk, man cave conversation. However you like it or dislike it, this is the heavyweight champion sports talk podcast. This is Opinionated Facts.
There he is.
What up, Coach?
Yo.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Not much, bro. Just chilling.
All right, man, let's get this thing officially started.
You can
got
see
Coach K in the building.
Guys that didn't get haircuts versus the two guys that got haircuts.
Yeah, man.
We gotta wear hats. Those guys is clean.
Yeah.
What you talking about, man?
I thought Coach was wearing a MAGA hat for a second.
Oh, no.
I was like, okay.
I had to find something to throw on, man. This is going on about 4.5 weeks without a cut,
Yeah,
man.
it's tough times, yo.
Yeah.
Jackson
I
on there
don't
for a second.
understand it, man. They got haircuts. They couldn't wait.
Yeah, I need one now, though. I'm struggling. But let's get this thing started officially. Microphone check, microphone check. Hey, this is the world's most popular barbecue talk, barbershop talk, man cave conversation. However you like it or dislike it, this is the heavyweight champion sports talk podcast. This is your opinionated facts. These are your hosts. My man Red is to the upper. Well, I don't know where he's at on your screen, but Mr. Red is back in the building.
Yep.
Mr. S. Rudolph is in the building. Then we have a special guest today, Coach K, Mr. Kerry Glover.
Appreciate you.
Head coach at Columbia High School, director of AAU boys basketball for Spooky Nook Sports in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just maintaining with everything that's going on, bro.
This whole quarantine thing got everybody in a bad place.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no haircuts. There's no sports.
Yeah.
But shout out to all the healthcare workers and everybody else on the front line.
Right.
Fellas, how we doing?
Good, man. Could be worse, you know.
It could be. Donald Trump Sports Talk Podcast. What's going on, man?
Nothing's changed for me. I'm on these streets every day.
He's a carrier of the virus.
Asymptomatic.
They said redheads are immune to it, B.
This guy's terrible, man.
Born in the 80s, man. You can't get this.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right. Keep thinking, man.
We played outside too much.
Nah, you out here way too much. You definitely gonna have something in a matter of days, man. We're gonna pray for you, though.
I wear my gloves and my mask everywhere I go.
You one of those guys that eats food with the gloves on now.
Nah, when I go to the bathroom, if I'm somewhere out, I gotta go to the bathroom, I change my gloves. I wash the gloves with the hand sanitizer. I'm good. I'm legit. Take all the proper precaution.
All right, man. Let's get the coach in here, man. It ain't about us.
I'm just telling you. Man, how you holding up since I know you're probably tired of hearing about it, but since the accident, how you holding up?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. I'm currently still doing physical therapy. Doing 5 days a week right now for 3 hours. So I was making some progress, and it cut down to 3 days a week, and then I had a little setback a couple weeks ago, so they ramped it back up to 5 days. But I've just for me it was tough, man. I'm a busybody, so just coaching nonstop, doing something basketball related all year round. It was kind of tough for me to sit still, and I didn't want to miss my school season this past year with Columbia, and I think I kind of pushed myself a little too hard coming back with that, and I just had a little minor setback, so I just had to slow down a little bit and reevaluate some things. So I could say that's probably one of the positives that this whole coronavirus quarantine stuff has done for me. It's just gave me some time to slow down and really get right physically.
Yeah, I said when I saw you early in the season, one of the earlier games in the season, I don't think you were even coaching yet. You were there watching. And
yeah.
Just from some of the stuff I see at work, it was just tough to see when I know the accident wasn't your fault. You're just sitting there. And then I was used to you being up and down the sidelines. And then when you came back to coach, you just had to sit there. That was kind of tough to watch.
Yeah, man. It was a trying season for me, man, because I'm just like, I think I might have sat down maybe twice my entire career coaching. And I mean, that's AAU and everything. Like, I just can't do it. Like, my blood, once my blood starts flowing, I get the pacing back and forth. You know what I mean? I don't even, you know how it goes for AAU. Sometimes you might be on that losing side and you might be down 15, but I'm still up in coaching. Like, trying to do it from the seat was tough, man. That was real tough. It was just different for me. And honestly, no slight to the officials, but I definitely felt like they ain't paying you no mind. They wasn't paying me any mind when I'm in my seat. I'm like, yo, I got to get up. I got to make sure I got your attention a little bit, man. So, I had to make that adjustment for for my guys.
Definitely.
You were never one of those coaches that really got on the refs, though. You kind of just, you ask about basketball calls, but you're not one of those coaches that gets in the officials. I never felt that way, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me the difference was me, running the summer league in York for 4 or 5 years and actually being out there and reffing and then reffing at different other tournaments and stuff like that a few times just to lend a helping hand. You just gain a different type of respect, and something I always took pride in was to never ever get a technical foul from an official, and I stood by that. Now, it happened a few times from one of my players might have talked back or did something that day, but it's been few. And myself personally, I've never gotten one from going off on a ref, because honestly you've been in our gym up on the hill. It's a little different in there, man. Those they go berserk, man. So I don't want the referees to get it from the fans and from the coach.
Yeah, good point. I mean, Columbia, they're basketball guys, though, so they argue basketball stuff. They're passionate. But,
yeah.
It was funny. I watched the film on your Trinity game again, and that was the only video I usually really got this year with the sound on. And you're up behind the crowd. They was going nuts, man.
Yeah, man. That place is different, man. That place is different. I was actually shocked my first year there when I got my first taste of it when Lancaster Catholic came in, and I was like, yo, this little small gym. I mean, they get this place rocking.
Yeah.
Well, that game against Trinity, that was a big one for you guys playing against Chance.
Yeah. Man, we were. We had it. They put up a good fight. We had it like a 7-8 point game with like a minute 50 left, and had to play the foul game, and they made some foul shots down the stretch to where the first half they weren't really finishing them. So I was like, I just got to find a way to extend this game a little bit and hang around and see if we can get some stops or a couple misses. But shout out to them guys. They finished the deal.
On that same topic, I mean, I ref that game obviously. So that was the best environment I was in all this season. Actually, probably 2 of my top 3 were you guys, because that game with Mennonite was pretty good too. But this whole thing going on with the like this Crimson Tide Renaissance. Like, how do you feel about that? And like that night, having the gym that packed with the behind the basket open, all 3 sides filled up.
Yeah.
Do you think that's kind of environment you could bring there every night as you build the program up?
Definitely, man. I think this was my 4th year there, so this is probably the first time I could say almost every single home game was jam-packed like that. You had a few exceptions, like, when Lebanon Catholic came in and, 1 or 2 other smaller schools that fans just really didn't know much about. But otherwise, I mean, that place was pretty packed. I think this year we had the most fans at home games since I've been there. That Trinity game was probably the second busiest game that I've had. My first year we hosted Camp Hill first round districts when they had the big kid Kuntz, I think his name was, that went to football, tight end. Yeah. And that that place was crazy. That was probably the craziest environment that I've ever coached in outside of my 1 year at Redland before I came to Columbia when they played Cedar Cliff. That Redland Cedar Cliff rivalry is crazy up there. So, but that mid-pen is just a little different.
So with like game planning against a Kuntz or like a Chance Westry, like how do you game plan against some of the best players in the state or some of the best players in the country? Is that like let them do theirs, try to stop everybody else, or try to find a way to stop them?
Well, I mean, normally that would be the case, because good players, great players, they find a way. Especially Central PA, if you got a kid that can really go, he's going to find a way. There's not too many guys that are willing to compete at that level against them. A lot of guys, they rather just stand around and be in awe and just be okay with just being out there in the moment instead of really trying to show that they belong. So for me, of course, like I've known Chance forever. He played with me with AAU. Our families, fathers, my dad, his dad, they all grew up together. So that's my young guy. I know a lot about his game and what he brings to the table. Honestly, it was more so for here at Columbia, I don't have a lot of guys who really are in tune with the game of basketball outside of the season. So I felt like it was putting more pressure on them to try to focus on him. If I say, focus on him, I would literally have probably the first 4 possessions of the game, 3 guys running to him as soon as he catches the ball and forgetting about their assignments. So, some situations you can say, hey, let him do what he does, shut everybody else down. For me, this season, it was more so like, we just make him earn everything. He has to feel a little bit of, physicality, some bodies up against him, make him, he drives, collapse on him, and you still be aware of everybody else, but don't overcommit. You know what I mean? Because I just didn't want guys to totally forget about the other assignments on the court.
You got a question, Brandon? Or you want me to go next?
It seems like you changed the culture around Columbia basketball. What are some of the things that you told the players when you first got the job to kind of bring a different narrative to that program and help build that program up?
The biggest change for me was just about the approach to like how serious I take this game of basketball. And I think that was something that was missing previously with those guys. The first group that I had that I inherited, those guys, they were we had a couple who were just athletes. You had a couple of kids who wanted to get better at basketball and, wanted to possibly play at the next level, which one of them did. But the rest of them, honestly, just you'll catch them at Mickle Park over here every so often, and then they'll just come out when the season starts. So it was tough. And, I just expressed to them, like, I'm not over here just to say I'm a varsity coach. Like, I'm over here because I want to be competitive. Every time I step on the court, I want to win, and I want to turn this thing around to make, not just – because I told them from the start, I feel confident in myself and what I bring to the table as a coach, but I'm over here now, so you guys are a reflection of me, and I want you guys to be able to walk on the court and feel like you belong. And, sometimes it's just it's bigger than basketball, and a lot of those guys just needed that brotherhood atmosphere. And I think that was the best thing that happened my first year here, because they were just doing whatever they wanted. They had some real talented players, but nobody to really push them or get them outside their comfort zone so they can really grow. They were just okay with doing whatever, on the court and off the court. And I just had to make sure that was the first thing that I wanted to focus on to change.
So I remember your first year coming in, Columbia had all these stereotypes about the program, and like speaking for the rest, a lot of us, like, you see this new coach at Columbia, and even though you guys weren't real good, you guys played hard. The players didn't talk back; they were more disciplined.
Yeah.
And like it showed right away the different coaching. And then, I mean, you won Coach of the Year, your rating Coach of the Year back to back. What, Section 4, Section 5 Coach of the Year? So obviously, it's being recognized. How's that feel?
I mean, it's good for me. I just honestly, I like it because it just helps people respect the school a little more. You know what I mean? I think that's one thing that that wasn't. I think, like I always tell people, my first year, I think it was more so we were just slept on. Nobody knew the amount of work that we put in when I first got the job. So it was, we caught a lot of teams by surprise and was able to make league playoffs and districts, and we ended up losing first round states, but it was a good season, coming off of, I think the previous year they had 6 or 7 wins. So we caught a lot of people off guard, and I had a lot of guys returning. So just with that, I think a lot of people caught on. The buzz was good. Oh, Columbia, because Columbia it does have a rich tradition, and the fans are, I mean, like I said before, they go berserk. They're passionate about their basketball. They know the history. Not just here, but I mean, you got some guys that they just know everything about every school in the state. That was one thing that I had to get adjusted to over here, because they know everything. So I'm like, for just to be in an environment like that, it felt good. So once they seen that little bit of success, and okay, now we got a coach who cares about us. We got a coach who others may respect, and he knows some other coaches, this, that, and the third. It was easy to keep their attention for the 3 years that followed.
So that playoff game I had for you guys against Effort up in CV, that was your first year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first playoff game I ever got. I remember, I thought it was your first year coaching, but first year you made the playoffs, and that place was rocking for that game.
It was, man. It was. That was crazy. That was a crazy environment, man. And for those guys, like they had no idea what to expect because they just weren't used to winning. So getting them there was it was awesome. It definitely helped lay the foundation for the 3 years that followed.
So any rep that's going to be honest is going to admit, like, the environment does change how you approach the game. And from the coaching side, do you feel like it changes your coaching style when you get that kind of environment you had at the CV that day, or even the Trinity game?
Not for me. My biggest thing is the players, because for me, I mean, we went to Lebanon Catholic this year, man, and it was the first time we had first got that little bit of snow, and they canceled a lot of games all around Central PA, and we were already pulling in by the time they started canceling, so they gave us the go ahead to play our game. Our girls were at home. They ended up canceling the girls' game, so we were up there and we played, and it might have been 15 people in the gym, but I'm rocking and rolling. I'm ready to go. Soon as it's game time, like, my guys know, once we step foot on that bus, don't talk to me. Leave me alone. You guys, I don't want no joking around. It's time to get focused. You know what I mean? And so that was I'm just always ready to go. AAU, summer leagues, whatever. Like, everything is opportunity to sharpen my skills and for my guys to get better. So I'm just always on go, man. But for the players, they needed that. They needed that because they just never been in that environment. And a lot of those guys started to clam up until, first couple minutes go by and they realize it's still basketball. You know what I mean? There's no reason to be nervous or intimidated. And once they settle down, they just found that level of comfort.
Real quick before I let B-Way get in here with a question. So my first year going to the varsity boys side was your first year coaching. Mm-hmm. And there was this influx of young coaches of you, like Christensen at Warwick, Larry at Penn Manor, Matt Johns, or even Fisher at Manheim Central. Yeah. You had all these young coaches coming in at the same time. And it felt good to see young guys coming in. I'm coming in young official, hopefully in the chapter for 20 years or so. And do you feel like there's a healthy rivalry there? Or are you happy to see other young guys coming up with you at the same time that should be around for a long time?
Yeah. I mean, I think like those guys, especially the guys that you name, Johns, Coach Christensen, Rocky that was at E-Town who now stepped down. All those guys, like we all like those three guys I constantly communicate with and talk to. They were just cool, honestly. You know, and for me it was different because I'm a York guy. So, you know, my mom's side of the family, everybody grew up over here in Columbia. My mom's from Columbia, but I never lived over here, so I didn't know much about any of these coaches or anything in the LL League. So, you know, it was just honestly felt like an outcast. He's this young African-American coach coming to Columbia, and I don't have any ties to any coaches over here. And then, you know, there were a few coaches who just who reached out and was like, hey, man, if you need anything, feel free to give me a text, give me a call. And, you know, I connected with those guys. And, you know, I remember my first time walking into the coaches meeting my first year, the LLE coaches meeting. It was just like you can hear a pin drop. I'm looking around like something going, like, is there an issue? Something going on, you know, me, like, I'm like, all right, what's going on? But, you know, once you got to meet them, I mean, they were real cool, man. Some real good guys.
Well, to piggyback on well, hold on. First, it's interesting to hear a ref say that they take games a little differently depending on
the atmosphere.
Yeah. Now
they take it differently, but
Young
you're
guys.
definitely heightened. You're heightened. Every call matters. Like every call means something. And even the calls that are even the most basic calls, like I make a basic travel, you know you're gonna hear from everybody in the crowd.
Yep.
And it's like, well, that guy walked down here. That every call means something. So it does.
You never heard anything from the crowd. That's what you told me.
I said in big games, you don't really hear the crowd except for free throws. Like I don't really hear what they say except for like if you're standing around.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that, man, for sure. And that's one thing. Like I have a parent meeting every season, and I tell my parents like, is to the best of my ability, man. Like I don't want you guys harassing the officials because, you know, like I'll be honest. I think, you know, the times that I had you, I think you've done an excellent job not holding that against us. But on the flip side, there's been times where referees get rattled because that front row of all the old heads across from the bench, they call that murderer's row. And referees go past them old Columbia faithfuls and they let them have it.
They can touch you too. They're like,
hold on.
We're gonna take a quick break.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Yep.
All right, we're back. So, Coach, being like you were just talking about walking into that meeting and having all that, it felt like having all that pressure on you or just the way people looked at you.
Yeah.
I guess that we only have 3 out of 26 head coaches that are minorities.
Yeah.
It's you, Coach Lambert, and my man McCaskey.
Yeah. Yep.
So just with that, do you feel like it's important for other minority coaches to get more opportunities, or is there a lack of opportunities for minority coaches?
Honestly, I don't know, man. I personally, I would love to see more. Professionally, I would say when we get the opportunities that, you know, I think our room for error may be smaller, so we have to do well. Yeah. We have, and I mean, this. I'll be honest. That's no secret for me as far as my drive to constantly get better myself and make sure my boys are ready to compete, because I don't think that with this being my 4th year, I don't think that, you know, things would be the same right now if I had 5-6 wins each year. You know, whether I had the talent or not. You know, if I had the talent, definitely not. But even if I didn't, I still don't think that would be, you know, understood to the level that it needs to be. And say, yeah, well, you know, he needs to be able to get, some younger players that he's been working with at the junior high school level, let these guys get up here and give them a little bit of time to turn the program around. For me, I felt like I was walking in and it was like succeed now or you're going. And that's just how I approach it every year. And I'm not saying it is that way, but that's just how I feel, just from seeing certain situations elsewhere.
Now, you make a great point. Me and B-Way always talk about how, like, even if you go through history, you get a Belichick who might have been fired, Pete Carroll, and they get another big job. But you get a Turner Gill from Buffalo, get a big D1 job, don't do well his first year, and then you never hear from him again. He's at a D2 school.
Yep. Definitely, man. I don't know. It's definitely different, man. It's different. So I think another thing is too. It just now started to get some younger coaches over here in the LL because a lot of the schools had guys that were like just long time mainstays and they weren't going anywhere. And if you think about like minority coaches in the LL league in the last just decade or 15 years, who comes to mind?
Powell.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it. And to this day, I never forget when I walked into that meeting, he looked over, raised his hand in the air like this to me, waved me over, told me to sit down beside him. And I was, again, I spoke to him when I saw him at tournaments and stuff like that. But I never had a relationship with him. And it was that moment was when I connected with him throughout my first year at Columbia. And I was just like for me, that small token that he showed of, togetherness and just looking out meant everything. Because like I said, I walked in the room and everybody just stopped and looked at me. And I was like, I ain't know what to expect, honestly. But that 2 minutes that he took, and they wouldn't even start the meeting until he, sat me down and introduced himself. And I was like, yeah, coach, I know you. We talked about when we met before, but again, I never really had a relationship with him. So that right there was major for him because he ain't have to do that. But that's what legends do.
The crazy part was Powell was like that with his players. Anything he would do for the starter, he would do for the guy on the bench. I think a lot of people learned a lot of things from him as far as taking people in, having a personal relationship with them. Is that how you handle most of your basketball players? You have a personal relationship with them? You talk to them, like, as far as family problems go? You handle a lot of inner city kids, I'm assuming, coaching where you come from.
Yeah. That's because that's just how I got into coaching. That's how I got into coaching, from guys just reaching back to me, like, Rodney Washington, who just passed recently. That's family, but in terms of the coaching relationship, what you think about coaching? And this was 2002, 2003. When my first time I ever coached AAU, and just being around guys like that. That's all I know. That's all I know. Even the guys that I barely knew, like players I had who were seniors my first year at Columbia, I got a chance to know them over a matter of 4 months. And they still give me calls, use me for references and everything to this day. For jobs and stuff like that. I bring them back a couple times a year to talk to the players and get a little open gym running with them few times a year. Just because I let them know, for me, it's always been about it's bigger than basketball. It's about relationships. And I think that was, that's just something to get players to run through a brick wall for you, man, when they know that you really care about them like that. So I think that's huge. That's huge for me. One guy that I always lean on is Coach Smallwood. Smalls is like the OG, man. Like if I need a reference for a job, I'm a coaching job. I reached out to Columbia. Coach Smalls was the first person I called. We
interviewed Smallwood and definitely old school.
Yeah, man. Like, and he'll be real with you. Like, if he think you ain't ready to coach at that level, he gonna let you know. You know what I mean? But he's thorough, man. You don't find now it's about everything is cutthroat. Everything is competition, and that's cool, competition, but it doesn't have to be cutthroat competition. You know what I mean? Like anybody reach out to me about, you know, a reference for a coaching position that opened up, even if I may have interest in it, I'm like, yo, I got you. I got you. Give me a day or two and I'll email it to you. Like, it's, you know, you got to help each other out. And having guys like Smalls and those guys and Powell, I mean, those guys, you definitely got to appreciate them while they're here, man, because dudes just ain't built like that no more, man.
Yeah, this new era of making you look bad to make me look good doesn't really work, I don't feel like. Like, I can still look good and you can look good too. We both can eat.
That's it. But they don't get that. You know, it has to be, I got to keep you down so I can use you as a stepping stool while you down.
Yeah.
Smallwood came on our podcast, probably one of our top 2 guests, maybe, and it was just like that gave us instant credibility from coaches around. Like once they see Smallwood here, you're like, oh yeah, well, it's safe to go sit down with them guys. So shout out, big shout out to Coach Smallwood.
Yeah, man, Small's the OG, man.
That one didn't go live. Our live button messed up, and we didn't know. Never recorded. Never went out. Great interview too.
Yeah, we got to get him back on. We've been talking about getting him back on, so hopefully we can do it before the next season starts up. You got the opportunity a lot of people don't get, which is to coach their own kid.
Let me go on that real quick, Brandon. Get some background.
Oh, okay.
So for those who don't know, your son is one of the top point guards in the league. Got 546 points going into his junior year, and he's going to be he was first team Section 5 this year, so he's got a lot of hype around him. And just the whole thing with coaching your son, and also him being the best player on the team, it's a different dynamic than most people get the chance to go through. So for the people that don't have some background on your son, then go ahead, Brandon.
I already asked the question. He heard me.
I mean, for me, it hasn't been difficult. We've had our moments, but honestly, it's been a few things that make the transition smooth. One, because I've coached in AAU since he first started playing AAU 4th grade. You know, that core group of kids I have right now who are sophomores, they've been together since 3rd or 4th grade, you know, playing AAU. So that was the start of it. And then my first year here, he was still going to Northeastern. So that was the first time that I've ever missed any of his games, youth league and everything like that. Youth league and everything like that. So it was tough for him. It was tough for him, and he was like, you know, Dad, I want to move to Columbia. And I'm like, are you sure? And for me, it was kind of the basketball side of it, just being honest, looking at the success that Northeastern was having with Rizzuto and Fred Malba and Mike Coleman and all of those guys. And then looking at Columbia, where it was my first year there. They were coming off of 6 or 7 wins the year before and what have you. And it just wasn't – it was, you know, a lot of unknowns. Didn't know what the younger group in middle school, his age group, looked like when, you know, back when he was in 7th grade. I knew 2 or 3 kids because they played AAU with me, and that was really it. But I didn't know about the entire group collectively. So I was like, I don't know, man. He was like, no, Dad, I want to be there. So I was like, all right, if you want to, then, you know, that's fine. So then, you know, after his 7th grade year, that's when he moved over. We got a place over here, and he moved over here to start his 8th grade school year. So it was kind of cool. And then last year, I think it was a couple bumps in the road. And I think it was more so just that freshman playing varsity and a lot of expectations and things like that. And he never really felt pressured, but for him, he's a gym rat. And to not have a lot of guys who, you know, approach the game with the type of, you know, focus and seriousness that he does, it took a little bit of adjusting for him to get used to. You know, but made it work. made it work. He found the ones who really did work hard, and they kind of gelled well. And then the other guys, as the season progressed on, they kind of caught on and realized, all right, this ain't no game. My leaders of the team were freshmen and sophomores, and they know, my guys know me. I don't care what grade you in. If you can go, you can go, and I'm gonna give you the opportunity. But you got to make sure that you earn it and you do something to keep it. So I mean, it was kind of cool. And then I think last summer AAU got kind of things just kind of sizzled out because we were just going constantly. And then so I had to make an adjustment that if we ain't at practice, we won't talk basketball. Like, and I upheld that to this day. We at home, I don't say nothing about basketball unless he's watching film in his room and he comes to ask me a question about something he sees. I'll leave it alone. I don't say anything to him.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, because some of the famous father-son coaching duos didn't always go well. You have Doc Rivers and Austin Rivers, and he famously said that him and his dad don't really have a relationship outside of basketball. He doesn't really go there for holidays. And
yeah.
It looks different because his dad played and coached NBA, so he was going a lot more than you're probably going.
Yeah.
Does that kind of influence how you interact with him?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it was just I didn't want him to feel like he's letting me down as a son if he has a bad game as a player. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. And then, once he had a stretch where his first half of the season last year was sporadic, up and down. One game he'd play lights out. The next game he has 8 points and 7 assists. And for most people as a freshman, they're like, all right, well, that's okay, that's cool. But I know the level that he competes at on a consistent basis. And, for me, that wasn't good enough. So, but, just going through the motions as a freshman, 15 years old, starting varsity, first time in front of the bright lights, I'm like, yo, come on, man, you got to go. Like, you with 9th through 12th. This ain't AAU. Everybody's not your age, and for him coming into the start of the season, he was 14. And then, it's like, he's a 14-year-old kid playing varsity basketball. Like, you got to grow up quick. So I think that was
so you said about him being sporadic, but I kind of felt like he made a turn early this year. And like you seen him in the Trinity game, the game wasn't too big for him.
Yeah.
And he kind of kept y'all in the game early. Him getting 2 fouls kind of changed the dynamics of the game when he had to go out. And he had to play with 4 fouls for a while, so that kind of took him down a little bit. But the game wasn't too big for him. Like, when did you see that change for him as a player from like his freshman year to that point?
I think honestly, the thing that changed for him was, believe it or not, my accident. Okay. That was the thing. That was the thing that changed for him because like that's always been my road dog. So we all over the place, basketball or outside of basketball, doing everything together. And that was the moment where he saw, young teenager, something like that happens to dad, and I literally couldn't do anything, couldn't move, couldn't feed myself, couldn't do anything, and I just stuck. It helped him mature because he was the man of the house. He was the man of the house for a month or so, and I got a little guy who's 2, and he had to step up and help out with that, get the stuff, still making sure everything was right in school, and he's coming out, leaving school, catching rides over. Their family's coming over to the hospital to come see me and everything, and just to see the look in his eyes, and I'm like, yo, everything's going to be all right. But, as a boy, Pops is man. So to see something like that, it just, and his approach was different when I came back. His approach, it was, it took everything out of, he knew the correction was coming out of love and not just me just getting on him and just wanting to punish him, things like that. Whereas as a freshman, it was, why you put me on the spot in front of everybody? And I'm like, I'm the head coach. That's my job. I challenge every single one of my players. But, for him, that was that was a big turning moment for him. Everything else, him dealing with that, everything, all the games, the pressure this year just wasn't it was nothing for him after dealing what we were dealing with personally.
So like right now during this quarantine, like what's he doing to stay in shape, stay sharp, stay working out?
He's at home just, doing some light workouts at home, push-ups, sit-ups, stuff like that. Watching, actually, believe it or not, this is the first time he's actually watched enough film to where I think it's suitable. I would love for him to watch more, but because I'm a film guy, like I'm watching every team we play, I always make sure I get at least 4 games of that team, and I'm constantly watching film all the time up until it's time for me to put my phone down in our coach's room and walk out on the court for warm-ups. Like I'm constantly just to make sure I don't miss anything. So now he has a chance to slow down and he doesn't have to choose, am I getting on a video game with my boys or am I going to watch film? Because he got enough time for both. So now, he's doing that. He's been going out running around the town. Him and my other sophomore, Robert Footman, him and Ant, they've been out running around the town and going up to the school and stuff, running on the track a little bit, and just going to the court by himself the other day. Went a couple times this past week, just getting some shots up and stuff like that.
It's a hard time for athletes.
It is. It is, man. It's a hard time for all of us, man. Yeah.
So with this whole, you're one of the new school coaches that run a AAU program and a head high school program. How do you like divide that up, split the time up?
Well, during the season, I don't even like concern myself with anything AAU wise except for like our fall tryout that we do in October, beginning of November, whenever we do that. That's really it. Like AAU guys, I might be, in contact with some coaches for some of my guys. I might, talk to them, but I don't do anything. It was a little different when they were younger because we could still get in the gym on the weekends and stuff like that and just get some skill work in. But now I really don't do anything. I talk to them, a few minutes before games, if I happen to coach against some of them, but that's really it. That's really it, man. I just focus on my school season, and when the school season is over, then it's a little mixture of both. AAU is starting up, and I'm doing practices at the Nook a couple times a week, and then those off days that I'm not practicing, I'll be at the high school doing open gyms. And we just keep it going. And then if it's tournament weekends, I won't do anything. If it's weekends we don't have a tournament, I'll have another open gym on Saturday just to get guys and let them get a little bit of work in, because I don't really let them do too much 5-on-5 at open gyms. Everything is just about skill development, just because of honestly they're behind from a skill standpoint. So I just focus on that. Saturdays might be the days where last half hour I might let them get a little bit of 5-on-5 work in. But that's really it. And then summer league, once summer league at the Nook start, I always have my guys over there playing the summer league, and it just kind of works out. That's one thing I like about the Nook. It just kind of works out because I'm able to have AAU practice, and then practice is done. 15 minutes later, my summer league game might start. So my high school guys is already in there, and we just keep it going.
You got one, Brandon?
Go ahead.
So like I said, you had some of these classic games over the last couple of years, like the for game in the first round, the triple overtime game versus Garden Spot, where all you guys are freshmen.
Yeah.
Even Warwick this year in the first round.
Yeah.
And you had these classic games where you're coming out on the wrong side, triple overtime, 1-point, 2-point losses. What do you guys have to do, you think, to get to that next level now that I think you're going to be a perennial in Section 5, but what about competing with the likes of like Cedar Crest, Caskies?
I think now, like a lot of the guys who were like some of the big dogs, so to say, have graduated, and those battles that my younger guys have been in now are definitely paying off. I think the biggest thing is, honestly, guys just committing to getting stronger. That's been my biggest issue outside of my first year, because that year, like I said, I had a couple of athletes and some guys that really took weight training serious. Now, I mean, honestly, my son might be the second strongest guy on the team. Strongest guy on the team is a 5'11" senior who played middle linebacker, Matt Gambler. But he might have, basketball-wise, he might have averaged 6 minutes a game. He was just one of those high-character locker room leader kids who I enjoyed having around the program. But they got to get stronger, man, and that was a big difference. The Warwick game this year, first-round playoffs, that Warwick game, you could just see the difference in terms of strength and physicality. And especially when you're not playing ball, playing AAU, or doing much in the offseason, you're not really exposed to the different styles of basketball. So, I mean, it's tough to make adjustments in game when guys just really, honestly, getting bullied.
Well, they're a football school right now. They got a lot of football players out there.
Warwick?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Those they got a nice crop of kids right now, man. Those kids they just bullied us physically, man. And it took us almost the entire first half to get adjusted to. We finally caught up and closed it up in the second half. What's up, bro?
What do you think you got out of that? Like that Garden Spot game last year was a classic. What was it? I think it was 4 overtimes, or was it 3?
Three overtimes.
3 overtimes.
Yeah.
What did you guys get out of that game? Because a lot of people saw that game that hadn't saw you guys all year, and they were like, "Man, this team's all freshmen and sophomores. Like they're coming." And you kind of for yourself in that game. But what did you guys get out of it? Coming out on the wrong side of it.
I mean, it was good because we were so young, and guys that was that group's first time, under the lights. It was huge for them. And they felt like they belonged because, again, most of them don't play ball outside the season. So they have no idea what else is out there in terms of, from a skill standpoint or, if they can really compete with the big schools. Because, I mean, walking into any of those games it's no secret. Not too many people gives us a shot outside of us, outside of our – but that's something that I constantly preach to my guys is, I really don't care about nobody's opinion except ours. We're the ones that's on this court working hard every day doing practice. The only thing I care about is what you guys think, and I'm fine with that. I could care less. And I tell them, no disrespect to your parents or anything. I don't care about any of their opinions. I'm here for you guys. And that was huge because that game just, games like that just serve a purpose for letting these guys know how hard they need to work because they were that close. Now they gotta, they think they're working harder, and you come up short. Now you got a little bit more room that you gotta grow. You got a little bit harder that you need to go to be able to get over the hump. And it's funny because we had Garden Spot at our place this year, and ended up beating them in overtime. So I mean, it was like one of those. Okay, and if we wouldn't have saw them last year and realized that we can compete with them, guys probably would have been nervous and intimidated. Big school coming in, they got a 6'7" kid, this, that, and the third. Stuff that they're just not used to seeing. Sometimes they get a little, they get caught up in a moment. Yes.
I can fix this.
Okay, thank you.
That kid from Garden Spot committed to Bible College yesterday, I think.
Yeah, he's going to Legacy Bible College. Yeah.
All right, so, Coach, for being on both sides of things, seeing the high school level and the AAU level, like, what do you say to them coaches that say AAU is bad for high school basketball?
Say it one more time.
What do you think about them coaches that say AAU is bad for high school basketball?
I say they're out of their mind. Honestly, man, like, how could it be? I don't understand how could it be. One, it gives especially for majority of the schools around here, honestly, it's like one, maybe two guys that can really play. And then everybody else might be a couple role players and then a couple guys who are just filling out rosters, honestly. You have a couple schools that can be, 8 or 9, maybe 10 deep, but that's a needle in a haystack. But, when you get guys, your better players, especially your better players playing AAU, now they're challenged because, honestly, how many times are they getting – I can speak from my own personal standpoint. Not too many times in practice my starters get challenged unless I break up my starters, and then that affects us during the games. But if not, like there's not too many guys. Like I have my son, I have Michael Poole. Not too many guys that can challenge them that come off the bench in practice on a day-to-day basis. So now I got to make these two guys compete against each other just to be able to get the full potential out of them during that practice. So, playing AAU definitely helps because now they're just not the only big fish. They're around some other big fishes, and now they get challenged a little more, and they see, I got some work to do. Might be the man where you're from, but you got a little bit of work to do to be the man everywhere.
Anyway, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name for Salenga, one of the better players in LL. What's his name?
This past year?
No. Back when we were kids.
Johnny Miller.
Johnny Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Miller's son's playing at Columbia, I heard. I haven't seen him play yet, but I heard he's pretty good. Do you have some stuff coming up in the pipeline you're excited about?
There's a crop of players who majority of them were 8th graders and a few 7th graders. They can be real good. They can be real good. One of Johnny's sons is he's a 8th grader, and then the younger one's a 7th grader. Then you have a couple other. You have little Artie Poindexter, a couple of those guys who they'll all be freshmen this coming year. That group is they can play. They can play. I think that group, their biggest thing, which it's funny because that was to be the focus for them this summer, was to get out and get exposed to the basketball outside of Columbia. Because they ran through the junior high school level, their schedule this past season. But anybody that knows me, I'm not impressed by that. Like it's not. Yeah, you got to get out there and face some dogs and see where you really stand. But I won't slight them. That group is real talented.
Yeah, I haven't seen them yet, but I've been hearing some things.
Yeah. So, I think a couple of those guys, a few of them, depending on how they pan out physically over the next couple of months, might be able to see some varsity minutes. But then that following year, their sophomore year, they'll be real scary. They'll be real scary. You'll have a couple guys who, my son and Footman, a couple other guys, they'll be seniors that year. That group will be real scary. They'll be real scary. Johnny, his oldest one, the 8th grader, Braylon, he's different. He's different. The younger one has the IQ, and you can see everything clicking with him now. But Braylon is just one of those, like, physically, the kid is gifted, man. He runs like a deer. He's dunking already. He needs the, jump shot and stuff like that. But what 8th grader doesn't need that to improve? But that kid is, he's the kid I think he might terrorize the LL League next couple of years, man.
Did you know his dad was a baller?
Yeah, he's a baller. He's also one of our members of the Columbia,
I know.
Death Row.
I know.
I know. Yeah, Johnny lets him have it. No, it won't hold back at all.
What's some of your goals for the upcoming season with the team you got this coming back this year?
Just want to advance, man. Just want to advance past further than what we did this year. We won the section. I would like to do that again. We lost first round our first round game, the LL League playoffs. So I definitely want to get past that and see how far we can get. would love to be able to have the opportunity to play for the league championship, man. But definitely get past where we, that first round game that we had, and districts this year we won first round, lost second round to Camp Hill. So I want to get to the district title game. And we have a real good shot with that. Guys gotta compete, and this was my second time qualifying for states, and I lost first round both times this year and my first year. So I want to get past that first round state game.
How this I don't know really how they have so like you guys are Section 5 champs, but being Section 5, you're always going to get you're getting Warwick in the first round. A team that's been in the championship 2 years in a row are going to be a favorite.
Yeah,
it should be like a power ranking system with all the champions and runner ups, or are you okay with having to play a top team in the first round every year?
I mean, for me, I like it because it obviously anybody who's there shouldn't be a cakewalk, but the tougher teams, get you ready for districts and states. And I would much rather be prepared for that than be able to win an easier first round game in the LL League playoffs and have this false sense of reality of, I tell my guys, even our last practice before our first round state game, we still got room to grow. We still got to get better, and those guys, when just not really, used to winning, they get this false sense of reality that they already made it. So, I'm cool with it, honestly. I know just talking to other coaches, they would like to see it change up a little bit. But, it is what it is, man. You got to get out there and play.
So what's your
B, we got like three minutes, yo.
All right, well, let's take a break then, and let's come back for one more segment.
Got you. All right.
All right, Coach. To transition back to the AAU world,
yeah.
How do you feel about the big sneaker companies coming in? Is there still room for AAU outside of the sneaker company, or is that something like the Nook is looking into? I don't know. That's a long question, but
yeah. That's something that we've been working on for quite some time. Even actually before we even merged our York Raiders program with the Nook. I was just, those were different avenues just from having connections with different people throughout the years. But the tough thing is every time that, of course you need the players. And then every time you get the players who, start receiving these offers, then the big boys come in and swoop them up, man. And literally every year for the last 4 or 5 years, I've lost a kid to a sneaker company team, man. For real, it sucks. It sucks, but I've never been that guy. Some guys are real I don't know, they just real territorial. That's my guy. They want to stake claim to this is their player. I'm like, I don't control nobody's child but my own, man. That's the only player. If a kid decides to leave and it's a better situation, then so be it, man. I still show them the same love. I support them at their games when I see them. They still come over to my house and kick it with my son and stuff like that. It's just because it's love. It's love, man. And the basketball side of it sucks, but the personal side, I never let that damage relationships. But it definitely sucks, man, to lose kids to We Are One and team final and stuff like that. But I also understand and respect that they have a different platform that we don't. And, we can get in front of some coaches at the, hoop group events and things like that, but we still don't have that same power that a team final may have. So I get it.
Harrisburg got a bunch of kids right now, and it'll make sense for us to have a team in Central PA that can compete on that national level.
Yeah.
But them kids got to go because it's a better opportunity for them. So it's just a tough situation.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Red. You got a question?
Hey, I don't know. As far as I go, my coaching schedule, it gets pretty crazy during like training camp. So August starts. I have 2 kids. They both play football. They both play basketball. They both play whatever they want. They want boxes. So scheduling is always a huge, huge issue, especially around the season. How do you balance that out with your kids and trying to make it to their events, plus make it to obviously your basketball games and practices and meetings?
Don't say your kids, say 6. You got a lot on your plate, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I only have 2. So it is constant.
It's a struggle.
Yeah. I mean, I've been fortunately. My oldest, she's a senior. She's a senior right now at York Tech. She chaired during basketball season, so that was tough. Last year she didn't. She took a year off because she's been working at one of the nursing homes over in York since she's been legally allowed to work. So she took last year off, and it was easy because she could work and then she would be out of the games. This year it was kind of different with this being her last go around, and I actually had to miss one of my games. I missed one of my games because I couldn't miss her senior night.
Yeah.
I couldn't miss her senior night. So I was there, and I was with she went through a lot. She with my accent and everything, she kind of took it the worst just because our relationship is a little different. She'd been through the ups and downs. I had her when I was 18, so our relationship is a little different. But I just couldn't miss that moment. I had to be there for that. But it was pretty cool. My little guy, I mean, he's at all the games. He's sitting with the Columbia Crazies. He's all over the place. He enjoys the environment, man. Then he comes home and just rambles and mumbles and jumbles for an hour straight about the game. So I mean, it's pretty cool. Then of course with my son playing, that's easy. My other kids, they don't. My daughter, she's younger. My son, he's middle school. He doesn't play. He wants to play. He wants to play next year, but he didn't play this year. So it wasn't. I didn't have to miss many like events or outside activity, things like that. So it was pretty cool.
Good.
I got kind of a 2-part question. I always try to explain to people the difference between coaching in a inner city and a suburban is in the suburban schools, you kind of could be just a coach. And in the urban school, you don't really have a choice. You're a father figure. You're a mentor. You may have to pick a kid up to get to practice. You might have to give a kid a meal.
Yeah.
Do you embrace that side of it of coaching, or do you feel like it's a hindrance to coaching? How do you feel about that?
I embrace it because, like I said earlier, that's where I came from. You know what I mean? That's all I've never – outside of my 1 year at Redland, before I came to Columbia when I was up there as a JV coach, outside of that season, I've never coached, whether it's youth league, AAU, when I was coaching junior high school for York High before going to Redland. All my stops, I've never been in a situation where I didn't have to wear multiple hats. So I mean, for me, that's a comfort zone for me because that's where I come from. Honestly, I might feel lost. I might feel lost a little bit if I'm in a situation where all I gotta do is show up to practice and coach, and I ain't gotta worry about dropping kids off, making sure kids got something to eat after practice, stuff like. I might be shocked, man. I might have a mini heart attack if I'm in a situation like that, man. That's a blessing. And some guys take that for granted. Some guys take it for granted. They have no idea, the different things that you have to do, especially coaching in the inner city, man.
Well, the reason I asked the question, I don't want to speak for B-Way, but like he's been in both situations. He's been in the big suburban school, and he's been in the city school.
Right.
And one day he told me, he was like, these kids don't need me for anything. I'm just a coach, and he missed it. So that's why I was asking the question because he had mentioned that a couple years ago. Remember that, B?
Yeah, I'm still on both sides of it now with the girls in York and then the boys football at Catholic. So it's like the two separate, totally worlds.
Two different worlds, man.
Yeah, but no, it's definitely a blessing to be a blessing to others. So you're always looking to be that mentor and that father figure for some folks.
Right. I mean, if for me, like I take pride in overcoming and, just doing well and thriving in that type of environment, man. Because, I mean, it was multiple times, man, where I get a message from one of my players as I'm getting ready to leave work to come over for a game. And, they need something to eat or they need clean socks, things like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, like I'm stopping at the store or whatever, just making it work. This is all before a big game. I mean, so it's like, yo, like you got to meet their needs to be able to get the most out of them. Because if not, man, I mean, we know how it is, man. Some of these kids is really dealing with life situations before they actually should be or they're prepared to be. And it makes it tough, man. Like, how can I expect this kid to focus on a game plan and remember a scouting report and he worry about if he's going to have dinner tonight? So it's just different.
Speaking for me and my brother, like, I wasn't a star or nothing, but if it wasn't for my coaches like Coach Day and Coach Brown taking me under the wing, like, I wouldn't have stayed out of trouble. I wouldn't have been where I'm at now in life because, I mean, sports was like our outlet. The only time I had to think about the troubles we had to go through was when we were playing sports, when we were at practice.
Right.
Just picking me up to go play summer ball when I didn't have no ride and stuff like that. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize the difference that coach makes in the kid's life. Even the kid don't realize it till he gets older.
For sure.
Yep. Definitely. Yep.
I have a big question that it's going to be. I think I know your answer.
Yeah, what's up? Let me have it.
I want to hear you say it in front of the thousands of people that are going to be watching this. Coaching with your brother now. Your brother is the director of AAU on the girls' side. He also is the head basketball coach at York.
Yeah.
Who's the better Coach K? Who's the better Coach Glover?
I mean, I'm the big dog, man. I'm the big dog, man.
He's trying to make it the boys' side, B. Don't let him lie to you.
Yeah, but I enjoy it, man, because I mean, you coach with my brother over at York High, man. You know how in tune he is with basketball. But honestly, like, as of course, us being identical twins, we're extremely close. But just being able to have somebody that I can bounce ideas off of, and he does the same. Like it's this times during the season where, I'm like, yo, watch this little bit of film right here. Or he might send me something, or, I come to you guys' games, stuff like that. And then afterwards, we're on the phone for an hour and a half, just, brainstorming and picking each other's brains, man, just trying to see, what we could do differently just to maximize it. Because, again, what I'm dealing with, I know you guys are dealing with as well, girls who are underdeveloped and got a lot of things to deal with at home and things like that. So just trying to get the best out of them as athletes is tough. So it's a lot of different situations that are similar, where we just, we kind of compare notes, so to say, and just, and just go from there, man.
Well, tell your brother Kevin, speaking on behalf of the refs, I saw that highlight on SportsCenter. That was a walk, man.
It was definitely a walk. I don't know how
That
they
was travel all day.
How you didn't call that, man?
You can't make that call. Can't make it.
Yes, you can.
Nah, you gotta let that go in. If it goes in, she deserves it.
Man,
If it goes in, she deserves it.
I always say any ref can make the easy call. The good refs make the ones that nobody wants to make.
Yeah.
If I was a ref and I seen it going, I wouldn't call it. Like, she ain't making that. If it go in, I'm like, oh.
I sent that.
That was tough, man.
Oh, it was heartbreaking.
Nah, you get attacked in the parking lot for calling, making that call.
I sent that clip to Samar right away. Like, how did they not call this? It's ridiculous.
I seen it on SportsCenter, like, dang. I sent it to BOA, like, dang, man.
Terrible, man. Terrible.
That's crazy.
I got one last question, Coach, for you.
Yeah.
Well, if you keep up with the success you're having at Columbia, I know you probably want to at least be there through your son's senior year, but there's probably going to be some bigger schools that are going to start taking notice. Do you have plans maybe one day to go get into like a 6A type school or bigger school? Or you plan on doing something there for the long term in Columbia?
I mean, honestly, I would love. I mean, that is my next step. That is my next step. I just honestly, I feel as though, my passion and my dedication to the game, that I would sell myself short as a coach if I'm just okay with staying here because it's a certain level of comfort that I already achieved. I mean, honestly, Columbia is, we all know has a very rich tradition, but in terms of coaching, it's not my final destination. It's just a stop along the journey, man. And I want to continue to challenge myself because I mean, honestly, every year I'm reaching out to whoever is supposed to be some of the big dogs in Central PA and even beyond a little bit, trying to get them. And I might know the coaches from AAU and even some of the players that may be on that team. The coaches know because I coached them or I trained them. And but from a team standpoint, the big dogs, I mean, they won't play us. Honestly, yeah. they won't play us.
Well, it's not really worth the risk for them because they can't because the power ranking system. If they lose,
they don't want to lose to us.
And if they beat you, they don't really get anything out of it.
If they beat us, it doesn't do anything for them. And that's something that I had to get adjusted to because for me, it's like, again, I come from AAU first before school ball. So I'm like, yo, you want to get that bump against whoever's supposed to be the best. Like, I don't, school size and all that stuff, that don't mean anything to me. You know what I mean? Like, I want to play, but then I also understand the school side of it, now being a head coach for 4 years and really understanding the power rankings and how teams play the game and stuff like that. I get it, but I just want that opportunity to show, okay, because first it was he's an AAU guy. AAU, you got all the best players or whatever, for whatever grade you're in. And even if they're not all the best, you got a couple good guys in Central PA, you really can win a lot of tournaments or whatever. So it was the knock on me was he's an AAU guy, this, that, and the third. Okay. So I went to Redland, was there for a year, was able to get a Columbia job after that. And for me, it was about proving I'm more than just an AAU guy. I'm taking.
So, do you see yourself bigger high school, or you thinking about college?
Yeah. I mean, college one day. I would have had the opportunity this past season to join a college staff, but I just didn't. I don't feel as though right now is my time for that. I want to get to a bigger high school first and have some success there, and just build that. Honestly, like I said, I want to show people. Like that's all it's been about for me was since day one was proving everybody else wrong. I'm not just an AAU guy. Now I want to prove that I'm not just a small school. Columbia don't play anybody. They got Trinity and Catholic and Mennonite, a couple of tough teams on the schedule each year. Everybody else is cakewalks. Okay, so now I'm gonna show y'all what I can do at a big school.
Yeah. So full transparent. BYU don't think Penny Hardaway deserved that job at Memphis because he's an AAU guy.
No. Wait, can I explain?
I mean, go ahead and lie.
No, not lie. I said he's coming from an AAU background, and the only reason he got the job was because he got the recruits to go there with him.
I agree with that, though. I think he did get the recruit to go with him, and that's kind of like a job.
That he didn't have the resume, and he jumped over a lot of guys to get to that job. That were grinding.
He's from Memphis. He's big time in Tennessee.
I get it. We all love Penny.
He's a alumni.
I'm a Penny fan. I'm just saying.
You're just trying to say nicely he don't deserve it.
You don't. I'm not saying he's not a great coach. I'm just saying, be an assistant first.
All I'm saying is college is about relationships. It's a recruiting. If you can bring in recruits in, you deserve the gig if you can coach. I thought it was a good hire.
Yeah, I mean, I understand both sides of that argument. I mean, I would say honestly, if anybody can bypass being the assistant, it's a guy like Penny. You know what I mean? A guy who not just, had his own success, but it wasn't just based off of athleticism. Penny really could play. He really understands the game at a high level. And, I mean, I think, heck, these other guys keep getting these shots, and some of them dudes is bad, man. Some of them dudes is bad coaches. They bad business. You might as well let Penny get a shot, man.
If you're gonna give guys like Patino Jr., Calipari Jr., all these just because of their name, it's the same thing. They're getting advantages because of who they are. Why not give it to somebody like Penny Hardaway?
I don't want to look like I'm knocking Penny. Like I'm not
right.
Penny. I'm just saying that there might have been another young black coach that was coming up the ranks and had to grind. Like when you're a GA at the college level, you don't get paid. You're living in the dorm. You're grinding this thing out. And for him not to get that opportunity after going through all that, it's just, look, Penny's good. I ain't got no problem with Penny, man.
I feel the best way to make change is to have somebody in the room, not knocking on the door. So if you get guys like Juwan Howard and Penny in there, and they start filling their staff up with minorities.
No. Juwan worked. He grinded. He was in.
I know Juwan worked. Juwan did. I'm saying, but you get those guys in the room, they fill their staffs up and start having success. Then you start picking from their tree, like Dungy did, and like who's the other one? I'm missing one. Lovey?
Who?
No, who's Lovey Smith's tree?
Lovey came from
Dungy, right?
Tree. Yeah.
Like all those guys came from one or two trees.
Yeah.
I think in terms of security, from a security standpoint, I would rather. I mean, honestly, if I had, if you're just speaking in terms of two minority coaches, you have one who's been grinding, and you have Penny, who is a Memphis legend. I would honestly rather see Penny get it and bring other guys on as opposed to a young guy who's been grinding. If he doesn't have that same success, if he can't bring in those same highly talented recruits, then now we already know his leash is short. If
real
Penny,
short.
Yeah, Penny gonna get it. Penny leash is a little longer. Something really got to go wrong for things to go for them guys to cut Penny out the picture.
It's hard to fire a guy that paid for the library, B.
Yeah.
Hey, I agree. Any more questions for Coach, man?
I'm gonna let the coach.
What'd you say, Samar?
You could ask the referee one question. I have to answer it. You guys always want to ask refs questions. What you got for me?
Oh man, for me, I don't know, man. I mean, you've seen me. I'm not one to really bother officials like that, man. I would probably say what's in today's game, with the way that the game has changed, and like what's the biggest adjustment that, from your opinion as an official, that you think coaches need to make in terms of for our players making certain moves and things like that, to not be, I mean, because I'm just speaking this past season, you still got more than 50% of the officials struggling on how to call a travel on a Euro step, like things like that. Like what's the biggest thing? Because I let my players, if they can do it, I let them do it. You know what I mean? But it's tough when you get in the game and then the official calls it a travel 3 times, and then now a kid has the opportunity to make that great step or that great move, and they don't do it just because they are nervous about how the referee is going to officiate it.
Yeah, and a lot of refs have their own theories, and they're going to call the game. And I feel like you got to adjust. Like the big one this year was the hop step.
Yeah.
Jump stop, jump stop. That was the big issue this year. Like, it's always been you land on two and you pivot as a travel. Some guys feel like the spin move is a travel, and some guys feel like
they're
counting the steps. They're counting the gather before the ball gets put back down. Some guys feel like you don't count that step. So I feel like as a coach, I would say, see how they're calling it early, and then you just have to adjust.
Yeah.
I would say one of the harder things is deciding with the freedom of movement thing they do all the meetings now about not putting any hands on players.
Yeah.
So you have inner city schools, not just you or McCaskey or LL, but any inner city school, we're more hands-on physical. And if you have a school that doesn't play like that, he's in your ear saying, look, that's a foul by rule. And then you start calling that. It's like, oh, they're picking on Columbia. They're calling everything.
Yeah.
Columbia versus McCaskey, and they're up and down, hand checking, but they're playing through it.
Right.
You're not going to call. Let the game play itself out.
Right. Don't mess up the flow of the game.
Coaches play one team and they're not calling it, and you play another team and they're calling everything. You're like, well, they're picking on us. It's like, no, they're calling it because that coach wants you to call it by rule. So, like I did Chester versus Reading a couple years ago. I mean, they were playing physical. Like, I don't know if there was many guards in the LL that could have played in that game.
Yeah.
They were putting hands on the guards. But they're not even crying for it, and they don't want it called. They want you to let my guys play through that.
They play through it. That's what they're used to.
Yeah. That's tough for refs, too. It's hard to go in the game. You pregame, you watch film, and you're trying to decide how you're going to go into this game. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Coach, man, we definitely salute you. This is a platform that we want you to use and definitely voice your opinion on whatever's going on or whatever issue you may have. But as a young African-American head coach, like, we definitely salute you just for your grind and hustle. You and your brother, like, you guys are always family to us. So
I appreciate it, man.
I guess we're gonna let you get out of here now because we held you up for probably an hour and some change.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Once this stuff clear up, man, let's get a round table, man.
Definitely, let's do it.
Let's get Gallon and Smalls and a couple of us together, man.
Yes, that'll be huge.
You buy houses
all the time, man.
You can plug it.
Even during the quarantine.
Plug whatever you want. I've seen the hat. We all thought it was a "Make America Great Again" hat.
Nah, man, buying houses, man, even during the quarantine, man. Anybody out there watching this, y'all interested in, seeing what you can get, cash offer, don't have to pay no commissions, make any repairs, anything, man. We've been doing it. I've been there for a year now. The company's been in business for 15 years now, man. And last 3-4 years, we've averaged about 400 to 500 homes bought and sold each year. So, I mean, we're all over the place, all over Central PA.
So what's your contact information? What's your name of your company? Go ahead, plug it.
My name of the company is Integrity First Home Buyers, CR Property Group. And my contact email to reach me at is Kerry@integrityfirsthomebuyers.com.
Definitely.
So reach out. I appreciate y'all time, man. I definitely keep you guys, updated of my journey and anything like that, man. I definitely appreciate y'all, good brothers, man.
Yeah, good hearing from you, Coach.
We salute. Yep. Hey, Red, Smart, you shout out?
Nah, man. Shout outs to no one. You know how I get down.
Terrible, man. Shout out to the healthcare workers. We shout them out every week now.
Yes.
Oh, you trying to make me look bad?
Shout out to the healthcare workers, public servants, not firefighters.
I'll take that.
Nah, firefighters don't count. You put out fires.
What's it about, man?
That kind of heat in a burning hell probably kills all germs. You guys go in after the problem's over.
Yeah, we run stuff besides fires, I run cardiac arrest, shootings, stabbings.
Oh, wow.
Car accidents.
I don't believe it. Not a believer. Healthcare workers.
Shout out to all essential employees.
I appreciate it, B.
For sure.
All right, man.
All right, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a go.
Too.